21. Do your thing, 21. Do your thing, 21. Do your thing, 21.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, welcome to my channel. Hey yo, listen up, yeah. Hey yo, the wireless woman.
Shit, you in charge of the girls, right?
I am in charge of the girls.
Are you in charge of the girls?
I am in charge of the girls.
Okay.
All right. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. I am your girl, Debbie and Nikki, the original wireless woman, welcoming you back to our spot, room 303. If you are new, welcome to my crew, but my returnees, you know what we do. If you like this video, well then, like this video. Let the comments reveal how you really feel. And if you're feeling a vibe, well, go ahead on and subscribe. But before you blink, share this link. Welcome back, Wi-Fi's, to yet another transmission of the Wireless Woman. Today we will be talking all about how not to be a bitter bitch. In the Bible, in Hebrews, it talks about being diligent to stay on your guard in pursuing peace, lest a root of bitterness spring up in you and trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Yes, I did curse and then turn right back around and quote the Bible. I am a Christian heathenist, and you just have to deal with that. But before I get too far into today's content, you already know, what time it is.
Why? What are we gonna do tomorrow night?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
It is time for today's transmission. All right, Wi-Fi's, welcome back to another underground transmission from room 303. Go ahead and do me a favor on your way in and like this video. Why? Because when you like this video, well, I love it. And I mean, if you don't like it, just push the unlike button, but do something for God's sakes. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And click the bell for notifications of when I upload new episodes and when I go live. I should be going live next Wednesday. We're going to do a whole Wireless Wednesday thing, and you should be able, now that I am sufficiently medicated, to depend on me to go live on Wednesdays. I mean, if I don't, what are you going to do? But plan to. Fully, completely plan to. I was supposed to have been live this Wednesday, and then I realized it was Thanksgiving Eve. Like, who really goes live Thanksgiving Eve? But people did it. Not me, but people did it. Anyway, oh, yes. And you guys, room 303, it may soon be a thing of the past. I'm in a home buying process, so these transmissions are sentimental now. I put a lot of work into making this room 303, and so we're just going to have to set up another hard line out of the matrix in a new spot in a new city. You guys, I'm super excited about that, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I am going to come back and talk about that because, as you can see, my sign says living single. So I was actually going to start my series about living single, where I was going to be talking about good places for Black women to start businesses, own property, really us as the most unmarried, uncoupled group of people, really starting to see how we can cut the gender gap, the gender and racial wealth gaps and still do the work in our generation of doing what we can to put the next generation of Black women and Black children in a decent enough position to be able to hold some ground for the future. The average net worth of a Black woman's household is -$5. And I'd like to do my part, especially as a woman in finance, to see what I can do to change that. I tell people all the time because they come to me for help. If you can't take my advice, you don't really need my help. So, more of that to come because, like I said, we got to unpack so much of this relationship talk. It would be great for us to really invest as women in ourselves and in our men and in our relationships if this was going to be a reality for us. If this was something that was attainable for even if not the majority of women, half, many, then I think it would be important to focus on how can we hold Black marriages together? How can we put the foundational relationship skills in place that are needed for us to couple? But unfortunately, the Bible was very clear when it said that it is the man who finds a wife. That is a man's work. I'm going to leave them to it. We as women can still, though, be emotionally healthy, be financially stable. These are things that we cannot fault our male counterparts for not having and not being and not being able to bring to the table. We have a unique opportunity in our singlehood and in our singleness to prepare ourselves even more adequately to be responsible for ourselves. It is not two halves that make a whole. It's two wholes that make a couple. And until some of us are coupled, we have to learn the art of using our singlehood to build us up as women so that we're coming to the table as a whole, complete person lacking nothing. And then it works, even if you never do get coupled because you weren't sitting here holding this space in your life for someone else to come into and thereby not fulfilling your whole, complete, entire potential because we see that in the male counterpart will say things like he had so much potential if he just had this, if he just had someone to come along and do this, if someone would believe in him, if this, if that, if this. You don't want to be an if girl, you want to be an it girl. Yeah. You want to be that it girl, not an if girl. So you can't likewise hold anyone else accountable for not fulfilling your own potential because you were so busy positioning yourself to be a mate to someone else. You never actually became a mate to yourself. You never actually took on the role of partnering yourself, parenting yourself, giving yourself what you need. This is a side note and a caveat, but I had a meeting today where a woman, I have my discussions with y'all about the conversations I have with men, but a woman came into my office and she was talking about her male partner counterpart. And she said that she was like, I'm trying to tell him how to do this. And if he would just do this, and I said, can you just imagine where you would be right now if you spent that energy on yourself? You think this whole other person doesn't have access to the same information that you have? It's not a matter of resources, it's a matter of will. Does this person have the will to thrive? Some people are stuck in a survival cycle. They're only going to do enough to get to the next day. They're only going to do enough to get to the next moment. That is a form of mental illness. And if we're really going to heal, thrive, and be healthy as Black women, we are going to have to get past the survival cycle. And anyone who keeps you stuck in it anyone who's keeping you competing for a scarce resource instead of helping you to learn how to engineer yourself to have access to greater resources. And this actually ties into where I'm going. It's so beautiful. Like I'm starting to get the hang of this podcasting thing. Then those are not your people. Today I'm going to talk about how not to be a bitter bitch. And I'm bringing the passage that I want to talk about from Genesis 19, from Lot and his wife. And I already know what you guys are going to say. I am a Christian secularist. I have accepted the contradiction of being both a heathen and a Christian, but I recognize something that a lot of people don't see. People who know me well personally, they know. I probably know more Bible than your pastor, but the more and more you start to walk out and live out the scriptures instead of using it to judge how other people should be living, when you actually take it and apply it to the mess of your own life, you start to recognize that it's not necessarily this instruction book so much as it is this wicked Christian. It's not fiction, but it's kind of like that. It's like a sci-fi novel, and it really gives you a perspective for the way to look at life and a roadmap to find God within inside of you, so God is actually of some use to you in the earth. Like when it talks about being so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, it's because you're looking for something up here that exists in this plane, and it's your job to find it, unlock it, and unleash it in the earth, in the plane where you are as it is in heaven. So let it be done on earth. Well, who's on earth? You. Yes, God is here. Yes, he's endowing you with supernatural ability to do the things that he does, but he's giving that power to you to do it. You know, David puts a stone in a sling, swings the sling, hits Goliath. There's a certain amount of wisdom and practice, skill and precision that led David to that moment. It wasn't just all, God coming down and striking the Philistine. Like, no, there's a human element of it. And God is giving us that work to do. So I am in what the learned Christians know, the foot generation. We're the foot generation. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not willing to get your hands dirty in this dispensation of God, in order to do a great work for him, you might as well just sit on them sidelines. You might as well just sit on them sidelines and hope, hope you get picked, hope you get raptured, because the foot generation, part clay, part iron. There's no clean way out of where we are. We're in the dog fight of Christianity at this point. And yeah, everything, the culmination from the golden statue in the top, from the bronze, from the iron to the feet that were mixed with the clay. Baby, we're the feet that were mixed with clay. And yes, we got some iron in there, and iron sharpens iron, but there's some clay in there. I believe God wants to use people of God would reject in this season to be called by his name, because he's still the judge. He's still the one that's determining what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. And this is another side note caveat, but I'm hearing that. I'm hearing a lot of men say, well, women are passing over the good men, the good men, the good men. If you're a man who's trying to get chosen and you're not getting chosen, who's the determining factor whether you're good or not? You or the women that you want to pick you? It's so weird. That's getting weird. And I really want guys to stop saying that, because you can be a nice guy and not be a good guy. Being a nice guy covers up not being able to actually be a good guy. And as much as men think women can't discern that, we actually can. The problem is you got a lot of broken women picking broken men. And certain men can't understand that. But I'm going to tell you something. when you go back and they interview all those friends of them mass shooters and school shooters. I know I ain't supposed to say that on YouTube, but whatever. That's what they always say. They were nice people. They were good people. I would never expect that person to do something like this or like that. Be the person you really want to be. Be an honest person about who you really are, and you will attract a different type of person to you. I promise. All these people is worried about being good. No one's good. The Bible declares that. No one, no, not one is righteous. Stop trying to be a good person. Be an honest person. Be a real person. Be a hardworking person. Be a person of integrity, of character. Take care of yourself. Be a person of good repute. These are attributes that no one can really take away from you. These are not dependent on how other people receive you. This is the investment that you make in yourself to be good. Goodness, that's an outside metric. You have to find something internally within you that matters enough for you to be passionate about it and take that gift and project it out into the world. And I promise your gift will make room for you. That's just a side note for men that I'm seeing who are bitter about not being chosen. I would say you sound like females, but that would insult females and women. So I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is stop worrying about being good. Stop worrying about the kind of money you make and actually work on your character as a person. Because when you get the woman that you actually want to have, if you have no character, and I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how big your peen is, I don't care whatever it is about you that you think makes you attractive to women, when you finally get that woman, you have to be the man that woman needs, that woman can respect. Because baby, Bill Gates got a divorce, honey. Elon Musk is on his fourth wife. Jeff Bezos' wife divorced him and married a teacher. So it's not about the things that you guys are saying. It's about women. Y'all about money. Y'all about this. Y'all want the bad boy. Y'all want this. Y'all want that. Women with money. Tia just divorced Corey. Baby, if people aren't happy, they aren't happy. And there's no amount of anything you are going to be able to give to get from someone else that's going to make you happy. Happiness is inside work. Go watch The Pursuit of Happiness. That man didn't have nothing, but he believed in something that was inside of himself, and his gift made room for him and attracted to him the people that he wanted. Y'all are looking from the outside in, where you need to look from the inside out for what it is that you really want. And like I said, that's just a caveat, sad note for the men. But this podcast is not about that. It's about women. And what's so crazy to me, the craziest part about the passage in Genesis 19 with Lot and his wife, is the fact that she never is named. We never know what Lot's wife name is. We never really know much about who she is as a person. We just know she has a husband, and her husband's name is Lot. And I think there's a reason for that. I think she was not given a name because she's meant to be archetypal, because she could be any woman who was placed in that particular situation, and we can we can see ourselves in her as a woman. And I think that's why she wasn't given a name. There are several women in the Bible who aren't named, like the woman at the well. They just don't tell us their name. And I believe those women aren't named like that so that we as women can find ourselves in their story, and we can find either our condemnation or our redemption in the way they handle the assignments that were given to them. When I was talking before about God putting you in the right spaces, and I was shocked that I was actually referencing that in this particular podcast, was because prior to getting to Genesis 19, where we find Lot in Sodom, Lot was rolling with Abraham.
Rolling with holy.
And eventually it came to a place where they had increased so much that there wasn't room for them to stay in that place. There wasn't room for them to stay together. And so as much as I have put into I'm still side noting, as much as I have put into, this room and into this space, I've been in my hometown now for 41 years. And I made this room 303 really a space where I wanted to bring you me. But when it's time to move, when you've outgrown that space, and I'm speaking prophetically to myself now, God will make a place for you, and we see that Abraham had something inside of him that made him pick a certain space because he gave Lot the choice. He said, okay, whichever way you want to go, I'll go the opposite way. So Lot had the choice of any lands that he wanted to pick, and he picked what was within him. He picked the place. And women, this is a message right here for you because see, we doing some picking, and baby, you pick her off. He picked Sodom. He saw it was a place where he could make money. He saw it was a place where he felt he would prosper. And he did, and it was. And Lot was there in Sodom in the midst of a perverse generation. And he was comfortable there. And so was his family, and so was his wife. So much so when he was like, hey, we got to head up out. Go ahead and clock out for me. They was like, I don't think so. I, I don't I don't think so. And we have to remember, just like Abraham had messengers sent to him, Lot did too. Lot was given advance notice that this whole thing was gonna go down. Okay, this wasn't supposed to be like a full scale Bible study, but it kind of like turned into that. But I promise I'm gonna get to the reason we're here. I'm gonna get to the point just a minute. Let me talk around it. You know how I do it. Let me talk around it. I'll bring it up in a minute. Of course, these men being what they were, men of God, angels, they just touch everybody with blindness, fix the problem. I mean, they got all power. They got the power to destroy the city, and you think they worried about a group of sodomites? No, not so much. So we see him telling, like, Lot, you got to get out of here. Lot goes to tell his family that his son-in-laws think he's joking. Like, clearly, Lot didn't carry himself as a man to be the type of man that people respected. The men that came to his home to accost the strangers didn't respect him. His son-in-laws didn't respect him. The only people that Lot was able to lead out of that city was women. And weak men who do not feel that they can compete with other men and other male groups. Now, follow along with things you've heard me say on this channel about males and men. Men who don't feel like they can compete with other groups of men will want women to be subjected to them. I'll let you read into that. I'll let you pause this and think about that. You can drop some comments. Let me know what came to mind right there. The only people that Lot could get to follow him out of this city was his wife, because of course she had to go, and his daughters, because of course they had to go. But he couldn't even get his son-in-laws to go. Noah did at least get his sons and their wives on the boat, which they were his sons. They had to go. But my point is, he didn't get not anybody else to follow him out that city. Now, me being who I am, I like to read the Bible with a little bit of zhuzh, put a little au jus on it. Makes it interesting. I'm a fiction writer myself, so as an author, I kind of know what goes into how people write characters and develop plot and theme and storylines. So as I'm watching this, we already know Lot's wife is probably a woman that don't have a whole lot of respect for him. First of all, Lot chose to put them in this city, a city that's so wicked it's about to be destroyed, when he had the choice of all the land that he could put his family in. He put them here. Okay? And then he's obviously not a man of the city and of the town that people would regard and respect his word, because we already see how they came to his house. They rolled up on him. And I know what y'all are going to say, because I know what you're thinking, because I think that too. Maybe he was just a good guy. Maybe he was just a good guy. And, he in the ghetto, and he's that, the old man in the ghetto that's always trying to teach the guys right. He's a good. They can't protect this home. They can't protect this household. Go back to what I said in the beginning about the good guy. Just because you a good guy, y'all get mad when women choose thugs, but 3 roles of a man, and one of them is also to protect. If you ain't got enough protection in you to protect yourself and those that depend on you, y- I'm testing your goodness right now. Goodness is not just about being nice. People tell me that all the time. They're like, you're not a nice person, but I'm a good person because I defend the powerless, because I stand on what's good and true and right, even when it's not popular. I don't care who I offend, because the same people I offend can depend on me, even while they offended. See, Snoop said, ain't no loving good enough to give her while I'm offended, but I can be offended with you and still do right by you. That's what makes me a good person, even when I'm not a nice person. But, and this is a part of my bitterness lesson, there are a lot of people that feel like Lot's wife looked back because she had covet in her heart. She coveted the things that she had back there and she didn't want to leave it. That could be the case. That could be the case. I'm not going to read into what her motivation may have been, but the instruction from her husband was, we have to leave this city. We have to look forward. If you look back, you will turn into a pillar of salt. So it's not like she didn't know what would happen if she looked back. Okay. We have seen these same instructions be given. When Adam says to Eve, Adam actually says to Adam. When Adam says to Adam, because he says he called their name Adam. So when Adam says to Adam, of all these trees in the garden we can eat, but of this tree in the midst of the garden we can't eat. The day you eat it, surely you'll die. Okay, there was an instruction that was given. And in true woman style, there was a woman that trespassed that instruction. Here we see the same thing with Lot's wife. I know what y'all think. No, the men chomping at the bit. See, submission. Y'all need to submit. Y'all need to submit. But the question is not the submission. The question is the authority. Now, you got to remember, Lot is a person whose word people don't believe. We've already seen that in the city when he can't get his sons, his son-in-laws to go. Technically, because these men were betrothed to marry his daughters, these men were in his household. They had watched how Lot lived, because in Jewish tradition, a man who marries a woman is charged with keeping her in the manner to which she has grown accustomed. He has to learn from her father how to care for the woman so that there's no break from how she was raised and how she grew up to how she now goes into the next household. You'll see this time and time again where the woman is being prepared and the man has to go and prepare a household that is fit for the wife. That's why we see Jesus say, I go to prepare a place for you. My Father's house has many mansions, and I go to prepare a place for you. The man is supposed to find out who the woman is, what she likes, how she's been raised, what her value systems are. He learns from the father how to care for the woman. Then he goes out and creates a space that meets the specifications of the father. So these men who were betrothed to his daughters had never known them, because remember, when the angels came and the men was storming the house, he said, I'll give you my daughters. They've never known a man, but he had son-in-laws. So that was the custom, that was the tradition, that until these men could go and make a home for his daughters, they were in a contract to marry them, but they couldn't have any sexual relations with them. So these daughters were virgins, and these men were bound to take care of them. And they were willing to forsake their duty and stay in the city and not listen to Lot as their father, as the father of their wives, on what he was telling them to do. And it was because they had watched his life. They didn't have any respect for the way that he reared his own daughters. He was willing to put them out in the street to be SA'd. Y'all know what that is. Be assaulted by a whole band of men. That's what type of man Lot was. So do you think his wife really felt protected? Do you think she felt that his word was something that she could stand on? And I don't even know. I mean, she might have been trying to test it. Like, I'm going to look back and see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was in her heart. Dang, I left my, I left my shawl back there. I don't know. But what I'm here to say, and yes, I talked all the way around the point, but I had one. I had one. And here it is. Ready? Point. The places that I've seen bitterness in my life. Because regardless of whether Lot is the man to be followed, to be respected, to submit to, she looked back. And the places where I have found myself being the most bitter is when I look back over a thing. When I look back over the relationship that failed. And I see all these places where I should have and I could have done things differently. It's that looking back that brings you to bitterness when you are not focused on the path ahead. Looking ahead helps you to not only see where you're going, but it helps you to be able to assess where you've been and why you had to go through what you went through. Everything that I've been able to release in life as I've gotten to the next thing, it was because the next thing that came showed me why I had to go through what was in my past. But a lot of people never get to the point where their past makes sense for them, where they grow from it, where they become whole as a result of the things that they've gone through, because they're still looking at it, because they're still living in it, because they're still working and reworking the thing that failed, the thing that didn't work, instead of gathering their things, taking what can be taken from it, and moving forward. There's this thing they call fail forward. And I have failed at so many things in my life. I promise, if anybody has a reason to be bitter, angry, hurtful, vengeful, it's me. If anybody has a reason, and I mean, it's tons of people that's got more reason than me. It's not a competition. It's not a bitter bitch competition. It is not a pity party competition. But I decided at a certain point, and it was actually in my private life, in my my personal relationships. That's where I've just suffered so many failures. But I decided I was going to fail forward. Everybody I know, and not that I necessarily look up to these people, but Kanye West does, and y'all look up to him. So when I look at people like Donald Trump, when I look at people like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, the companies we see them running, that's not their first company. That's not their first rodeo or their fifth. These people have been bankrupt more times. They have lost more money than we've ever had, than we'll ever have if we started today. If they gave us 1,000 years to live, most of us wouldn't make the type of money these people have lost in their sleep with what we would say are bad decisions, but they use those decisions to learn from it. It's not leaving. It's not the failure that turns you bitter. It's dwelling on it. It's standing in it. It's staying in it. Some of y'all are staying in dead relationships. And if you go over to Leviticus, it talks to you about not leaving dead bodies inside the camp because they know it spreads disease and infections. And when that woman turned around, she turned into a pillar of salt like that. A decision to stay in something. A decision to look back instead of looking forward. I mean, that's salty right there. That's bitter right there. When you looking at your ex and he out with the new chick, giving her everything that he wouldn't give you. Ooh, that thing sting. That thing sting. Let me tell y'all a little story. And my ex-husband has asked me never to write about him and never to talk about him. And every time I'm talking about my ex-husband, I'm always talking about my second ex-husband. You'll very rarely ever hear me talk about my first ex-husband. And I never thought my life would be like that. But the same way my first ex-husband is like almost non-existent at this point. I know I'll get there one day with my second ex-husband, but not today. So a little bit after we broke up, I had lost a lot of weight. And because he was a narcissist, he loved to one up me. So then he lost a lot of weight. I mean, it was a revenge body. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, mine wasn't a revenge body. I was depressed as hell. And I had lost a whole bunch of like Khloe Kardashian weight because I had just been through it. I had been through it with him and his family and his mama and his kids and his sister. And I had been triangulated again. Baby, it was Gladiator. You hear me? Gladiator for that man.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And my hair was gray. Like I was just losing. I had lost myself. I said that to our counselor. I was like, I've lost my voice. I've lost myself. And so I had lost a lot of weight, but I was looking good. So anyway, so then he went out and lost weight and he had joined this group, which was nothing but women. And he would never post me on social media because he was like, I'm a private person. I don't want people in my business. He had been married before. So he was going, he had divorced before I met him, but it was like he didn't want to look divorced. I don't know, child. I don't know. Like I said, you look back on it, you realize you were stupid. But it was always like I'm a private person. The more people we put in our business, the more problems it's gonna be. Yada 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 yada. So we're split up. We still separated. Like we still having the conversation about like, are we gonna file for divorce? We in our year of separation. He started posting a chick from his workout group. Now he's saying, oh, it ain't nothing with us. It ain't nothing between us. It ain't like that, blah, blah, blah. But baby, when you look back, what's funny is I wasn't even watching it. I didn't know. People was coming back to me, telling me, they was like, is Marvin with somebody? Did y'all break up? Because people didn't even know we had broke up. People didn't even know him and his first wife had broke up. I mean, he's a private person. So it's all about appearances when you're dealing with a narcissist. So, but he didn't mind appearing with this woman. And of course, he's like, oh, it's just business. Oh, it's just workout stuff. Oh, it's nothing like that. But it's all about that feeling, giving you that feeling inside.
Standing there just watching, I'ma give you something to look at. Standing there just watching, I'ma give you something to look at.
And I mean, I'm doing good. Shit, let's be real. I look better than her. See, that better, that good, it creates bitterness. It creates the environment of competition. And if you're going to compete with somebody, baby, compete with yourself. You'll never be better than the next woman, especially if a man want that woman. Like, I'm so done with the desirability talks. If they want them, let them go have them. I was at Thanksgiving whipping up. I, baby, I can cook. I'm smart. You will never be enough for the man that don't want you. I'm about to buy a house. My credit score is almost 800. Like, I can throw all that out, but they done told you that we don't care about your degrees. We don't care about your houses. We don't care. We want you to submit to us. We want control over you. And if we don't have that, you can keep it. I remember when I first started losing weight, my ex-husband, he said that to me. He said, I don't care how much weight you lose. He said that. He said, if you don't change the attitude, I don't care how much weight you lose. I don't want you. Like, forget the fact that I went from being pre-diabetic to now no longer having diabetes. Like, no, I'm not going to celebrate you. I'm not going to champion you. Baby, you need to know this thing is about me no matter what. That's me in a rabbit hole. Let me get out. But I'm saying all of that to say whatever is best for you is next. It's in front of you. Even if you're happy in a great relationship, what's next for us? Let's keep growing. What's the next goal that we can set together and accomplish? If you're single, same thing. But whatever it was out in front of this woman, out in front of this couple. They leaving together. This is the same destruction that we saw God do in Egypt when he got the Israelites running through the center of the Red Sea and got the waters parted. You know, they crossing and it's a pillar of fire behind them. Like, these are the people that will show the world what God can do. And this is their descendants. These are the people that came before them. These are the stories that these people were using to build their faith and trust and belief in what God could do. He about to destroy this city, baby, and he ain't playing with these people. But he was willing to preserve this family. And he gave them one job. And if you read all the way through the story, Lot's wife turns into a pillar of salt. Then his daughters end up sleeping with him and making the Moabites and stuff. And they was like a cursed people. But I digress. My point is, still lack of leadership there. Why you drunk? Why your daughter's getting you drunk and sleeping with you? But we knew from the jump, Lot was trouble. Lot was a problem. We knew this. Abraham knew this. That's why he was like, hey, whichever way you going, I'm going the opposite. See you. My point as a woman is we can't allow ourselves to be in these partnerships that create bitterness in us. We can't be looking backwards. We can't be in relationships. Like I said, we can blame this whole thing on a lot, and that's basically kind of what I'm trying to do. But my point is independent of that, because we as women got to take accountability. Accountable, be accountable, please be accountable, be accountable, be accountable. Do your own thing. Be independent, but go 50-50 with us and submit to us. My point is everything that I've ever known of that made me fearful for the future, that allowed that root of bitterness to spring up in me, that put fear in me, that caused aggression, came from the past. Women, we have to unplug from that. Turn our face to the free places in our lives, to the story that hasn't even been written yet. And stop dropping that needle on that old record. Stop rereading those old chapters. We got to be unbothered in that we have to know that everything's riding on what we do next, that we can take the lessons from the past with us, but we don't have to take those feelings of worthlessness, powerlessness. That's not what's going to move us forward to the next place. That's not what we want to unleash on the world. I would always tell my daughter this. She would tell me a story and she'd be like, and then what happened? And then I said this, and then. And I told her, I said, listen, you don't have to relive it to retell it. You don't have to relive what happened. Tell me what happened. You don't have to relive it. You know, I would let her know, calm down. Tell me what happened because I wanted her to work through what happened without the emotions of it. A lot of times when you take how you felt out of what happened and then you go through it, you like, maybe the way I said that is the reason why they responded like that. I did say that, but I meant this. There may be some more clarity there. Maybe not. Maybe not. Sometimes I said what I said, baby. Say it with your chest. I look back over stuff. I'm like, man, they probably thought I meant that, but I did. But I meant that. So we don't have to look like what we been through. We don't have to look like what we came out of. We don't have to look back at that for our value, for our worth, for our identity. Because I promise when you do, that's what's coming out of you. Like I said, that's the difference between being a nice person and being a good woman. I know some nice women. Nice people give you the shirt off their back, but they're full of bitterness, rage, a lack of reciprocation of love. They empty, they're drained. And all you gotta do is scratch the surface and it'll come right up. You be talking to them, they be like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give you this shirt here I made. I made it for my daughter, but she don't even want to call me. She don't even want to tell me. One time back when she was 18 and stuff, I had told her that it'll come right out. The history of it. We're like trees, and the rings tell you how old it is, tell you where it's been, what it's been through. But you're not a tree. You can move. My daughter was saying that all weekend during Thanksgiving. I don't know what that means, but you're not a tree. You can move. You're not all the things that you've been through. You can reinvent yourself. You can resurrect yourself. You have resurrection power in you. Even when Jesus rose again, he said, don't touch me because I haven't gone to the Father yet. Right? Then, see, y'all don't read this book like I read this book. I'm telling you, it's full of contradictions, and I think it's amazing because I am. I'm full of contradictions. And I'm still complete. I'm still without errors. I'm still without flaws, even in my contradiction. Just like, but anyway, the Bible says we're living epistles. I'm part of the book. I get to say that. I get to say that all of it works together for the good. But Jesus was saying to him, he's like, don't touch me. I haven't gone to the Father yet. And then he gets to Thomas, doubting Thomas. And Thomas's doubt was going to keep him from the kingdom. The kingdom had come to him in the form of Jesus, but his doubt was in the way. And even though Jesus said, don't touch me, I haven't gone to the Father, he said to Thomas, hey, reach right here in my side. Let me show you it's really me. Those scars, those wounds that you have, you can reach forward in the hope and use them to pull other people out. But what would have happened if Jesus had looked at Thomas and been like, you see what the soldiers did to me? You see how they did me like that? And I'm the Son of God. How they gonna sit there and not? But there was a place that he was going. And he wanted to be able to tell Thomas about where he was going. And he wanted Thomas to believe him. And he was willing to show him his scars so that he would know that he was real, not so that he would know that he was wounded. So that he would know this can happen to you, but you can still resurrect. You can still ascend. And that's all I wanted to say. Yep, that was it. That is how not to be a bitter bitch. If you felt it, if you see what I see and you feel how I feel.
But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel,
Go ahead, drop that fire headphones emoji in the comments. I look forward to engaging with you there. Until the next time, this is the end of the transmission. See you in the comments.
Section leaders, what is our concept?
One band, one sound.
One band, one sound.